This week on the podcast,
we're introducing a new segment, Ashley's Sleepy Streamies, and we're going to chat about the movies Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, Wuthering Heights, that's with quotation marks, and Cold Storage.
for TV, we're going to be just discussing Hijack because we ain't got nothing else going on there.
That's right. All right, let's get into it. This is
We should
pod that.
Episode 25.
Yay!
We should watch that with Ashley and Sushi. Feel the vibes, it's a night so lush.
Today's first segment is a new one, Ashley's Sleepy Streamies, where I'll review streaming movies and TV shows, looking at not whether they're good per se, but whether they're able to help me fall asleep. So for our first Sleepy Streamy, we'll be checking out Reboot, The Guardian Code, a TV show that I found on Netflix by scrolling the fantasy section and just looking for bluish shows and movies. Okay, so let's cut to how it went in Ashley's Sleepy Streamy diary. What up, dudes? I'm pretty excited to start a new TV show this evening, a new Sleepy Streamy called Reboot, The Guardian Code. It appears to be some sort of superhero-y Canadian children's show. They're going to the Alan Turing High School, and it looks like there's going to be some silly stuff. I have high hopes that this will put me to sleep and be somewhat enjoyable to watch in that interim between waking and resting. Okay, good night. Hey friends, I'm on night 3. Here's what I've gleaned so far. You got like the 4 kids. They get called on the first day of school down to the basement and they're like, wait, I thought I had a class here. What's going on? And then they go through a wall. Meanwhile, there's like, it's so stupid. Okay, meanwhile, there's like a hacker on the internet. But he's all like, go my cyber monsters or something like that. And then they show inside the computer, I think they're trying to do a Tron style thing, but it's all very CG and very silly. And it just literally looks like these little like monster things. I can't quite remember, honestly. That's the beauty of a Sleepy Streamy. The details don't stick with you. Well, yeah, those things are flying around. And then these kids walk through a wall and they're like in the computer, I think. And there's a setup where there's 4 digital suits and a place to stand. And you're like, oh, and they stand on that, they're going to be in the digital suits. And sure as shit, that's what happens. And the digital suits are very silly. You do see some Iron Man style inside the helmet things going on. And then they go in there. And then basically, as soon as the inside the computer stuff starts happening, my brain is like, peace out. And then I conk out. And that's as far as I've gotten. So today is Thursday. I started watching it Monday night. I still haven't made it through the first 20 minutes of the first episode. And again, that's how you know it's a good Sleepy Streamy. Guys, it's Friday morning. I've now officially had 5 nights in a row of watching Reboot, The Guardian Code. And this one's a winner, baby, because I think that, number 1, it's kind of boring, okay? Number 2, it's a teenage story, and I feel like teenager stuff doesn't stress me out too much. I'm past that point in my life, you know? Number 3, it makes no sense. That's perfect. My brain is just like, I don't get it. And then it just is like, bye-bye, and I go to sleep. And then just like all the very low budget computer graphics. It's closer to the original Tron than to the new Tron, you know? And there's just something about that low budget CG that just sends me. Plus, they're in a computer And it's dark inside computers. I think they're in a computer. Is that what's happening? I don't know. It's also a little blue, the graphics, little blue, little green. I don't know what it is about those colors. I could look it up. I'm not gonna. But those colors really tell my brain it's time to sleep. Yeah, I'm going to give this. Okay. I'm going to give it an award. The Trontine Award. That's what you get. So definitely recommend it. Check it out on Netflix. It's Canadian. Love the Canadians. They're fantastic. This is a recommend. You got to see it. All right, folks. We have a successful Sleepy Streamy.
Oh,
We're looking forward to next week. We'll be talking about another one. But before we go, Sush, what have you been watching to fall asleep this week?
I don't know. I don't really sleep.
Oh, that is true. See, that's a big difference between the two of us.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of maybe put some like X-Files or Portlandia.
Ooh, actually.
Or a Michael Mann film for some reason. The sound of gunfire apparently calms me at night.
You know, that makes sense to me because Michael Mann movies are really dark and again, kind of blue. And those to me make me really sleepy.
I guess. Wow.
I like when you watch the Portlandia because then I wake up to the theme song in the morning. It's nice. Yeah. All right. Well, tune in next week where I will be sleeping to Shamaran, a cool, gloomy-looking Turkish show about, quote, a community of half snake, half humans, unquote. So stay tuned. Okay, our first movie of the week is Cold Storage. It's a horror comedy adaptation of the novel by David Koepp, who also wrote the screenplay, with direction from Johnny Campbell, who's done a lot of TV directing, shows like Doctor Who, Westworld, and a bunch of other British shows. This movie is made as a contained, high-concept thriller with a practical effects edge, and the film leans into B-movie creature feature roots while mixing in workplace satire and chaotic humor. It follows two ordinary employees, played by Georgina Campbell and Joe Keery, who discover that a long-forgotten government experiment, which turns out to be a deadly parasitic fungus locked away in a storage facility, has escaped containment, forcing them to team up with a grizzled bioterror expert, aka Liam Neeson, to stop an outbreak that could potentially end humanity. Wow, that's kind of a mouthful, huh? There is a lot that goes on in this movie. Okay, starting off, in the beginning, you see the origin of this thing.
All right.
And my favorite thing is it has, text on the screen at the beginning that tells you, okay, so-and-so fell out of the sky. People are rushing to contain it. And then it said, this shit is real in big letters.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. I think it started in Fargo was the first one I saw do that, where it's like a fictional work and they say, this is true. It always cracks me up. But yeah, I think this was pretty dang fun. I would say the only warning is if you don't like puking, tread carefully. The movie's very like goo forward. There's a lot of just an excess of goo. Luckily, most of the goo is green and not realistic or bloody looking. It's, your green goo. But yeah, I really liked the relationship they had between the two coworkers. You've got Joe Keery's character who's motivated basically by peer pressure. And Georgina Campbell, when they hear a noise, they investigate. And this is how they discover this contaminant. And I just liked their dynamic. Liam Neeson was great. He had this grizzled partner who was amazing. This like sassy older woman who's always smoking. She's storing dangerous things at her son's house and stealing his car. That was pretty great. And yeah, I just think that it's a story about everyone being in over their head and having to deal with the biggest possible obstacle. So just, rich dramatic fodder there. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Sush?
Well, I feel like this movie continued with a recent theme of theatrical releases being either different than expected in terms of the genre or feel of the movie compared to the trailer or like whatever information we might have ahead of time or otherwise qualitatively better than expected.
Yeah.
And I actually think that both of these kind of applied to this movie for me anyway.
Oh, nice.
Based on what I saw from the trailer, I was expecting a fairly low budget horror comedy experience, like something that would be released by Troma or Blumhouse. But I think we realized fairly early on that we're dealing with something of significantly higher quality.
Yeah.
I think the cast was what really made this movie enjoyable. I didn't realize until I looked up her filmography, but I've actually seen a few series with Georgina Campbell, namely Krypton and Soulmates.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay,
that's probably why I recognize her, aside from remembering her from Barbarian and The Watchers. Joe Keery I know of. I've actually only seen one movie he was in, Free Guy, and I don't even really remember him in it that well.
Oh, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, but I know he's in Stranger Things, even though I didn't watch that. And he did that end of beginning song that's popular on social media.
Back in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both of those actors as leads, I think, were really at the center of what made this movie enjoyable overall. They both seem like real, actual young people that have real problems, which don't really define them as people, but just contribute to either the storytelling or the themes in some kind of way. Liam Neeson is great in this movie.
Oh, love it.
But I felt in the trailer, it gave an impression that he would be in this movie a lot more than he actually was.
Ah, that's true.
But even with that said, his character is fairly important to the plot, and I think he had a strong authoritative presence.
Yeah.
As well as some funny one-liners, which are always fun with his iconic delivery and voice. And then, while Leslie Manville wasn't in the movie very much, I really enjoyed her character when she was on screen.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah, she was like a sarcastic hard ass, so.
Real brassy.
I felt like the spread of the infection and how the creature and VFX were used in this movie had a really unique feel to it. I want to say that the visual style is what you get if you infuse the look of a low budget infection or parasite horror film with some money, basically ending up with what I can only describe as a highly polished low budget feel.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I would definitely agree to that.
Yeah, I remember zeroing in on the fungus as it was spreading and everything and thinking how cool it looked, even though it obviously looked cartoonish and fake.
Yeah, it was.
But there was a polish to it. Yeah, this is probably the second most enjoyable aspect of the movie following the cast. So. Yeah, from the trailer, I remember they mentioned that this movie was from the producer and screenwriter of Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, and Spider-Man. As well as the producer of Zombieland. While I feel like most movies these days mention these types of credits and trailers in order for studios to kind of embellish movies that they feel maybe general audiences might not either recognize the attached writer, director, or producer, or because they just believe for some reason it's not going to perform well at the box office as is. I think this is one of the few instances where it made sense for them to do this. Yeah. Mostly because I do feel like the VFX and creature effects were done really well for this movie to the point where there are times I forgot the movie was supposed to be a comedy and not just horror or sci-fi.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And obviously being a movie about controlling or dealing with an infection, this movie did share some similarities to Zombieland as far as the vibe, even though they both dealt with different stages of an infection or the spread of it. So with that said, I'm going to go into my ratings.
Yeah.
For enjoyment, I give this a 3.5. For quality, I give it a 4. I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. Admittedly, when I initially saw the trailer for the movie, I kind of assumed I might pass on it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
even if it did have Liam Neeson in it,
Mm-hmm.
since I feel like I've seen enough zombie stuff over the past decade or so,
Right.
was this a life-changing experience? Absolutely not. But am I glad I saw this movie? Sure. It was definitely a good time. Like sometimes I feel like movies that have a pretty wacky premise
Mm-hmm.
always seem to end up being slightly less enjoyable for me when
Oh.
the acting is really good. And the overall production quality seems really high. I know it's kind of a weird thing, but this is obviously reflected in my quality score from the movie because it's a 4, which is higher than my enjoyment rating of 3.5. But that's really all that it was. It's just been this weird thing that I've been noticing like more and more often.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Going into my ratings, so I had the same enjoyment as you, 3.5. I thought it was really fun. We saw it with some friends and like we were cracking up. And also it stressed me out at parts. Like I remember being really uncomfortable and worried. And it's kind of visceral, Actually, you know what? Talking about that, thinking about the effects, I was going to give this a quality 3.5, but I think I'm going to bump it up to a 4 as well.
Nice.
Because there is just the technical aspects are so good.
Yeah, they are.
And I love the setting. One of my favorite things is that it seems so true to life that there's a government facility housing the most dangerous thing in the planet. And then, time goes on, people change careers, whatever. The people who were there are gone, and they just cover it up. They just
this is part of the same plot as Idiocracy.
Oh.
Because you remember the whole thing behind that is that they're put into cryostasis, but then like the government funding collapses for that project.
Yes.
So
yeah.
They just get abandoned and they forget that there's even like people still in cryo.
Yeah. I think it's just a really funny way to ground it in like, yes, it's ridiculous sci-fi. But there's that. Oh, and I do just want to add one last thing. On a rewatch of this, it occurred to me that Liam Neeson's job looks like it's 90% exploding things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. When you said, like when I looked it up and was like, oh, that's his job. I thought he was just the dude they send in to explode things.
Yeah. No, I had no idea that he actually had some scientific role to play.
He just
I literally thought that there was some dude that like military strategy called in to deal with a problem or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's kind of funny, and I didn't pick that up probably because we're so used to Liam Neeson being that guy.
Oh, he's always exploding.
So there's no way, there's no way at this point in his career that you're gonna get me to associate him automatically with being in a scientist role or something.
You know what? This makes me want to explore how many movies there have been explosions in with Liam Neeson.
I don't know. I just know that dude has been around doing crazy stuff since like Darkman, and people forgot about it for a while because he did more, I guess, like tame roles. But then like he went back to doing crazy shit again. The moment he did, I was like, yo, did everybody forget that he was Darkman?
I know. He's like been in the world of crazy
like
movies.
Crazy shit. Yeah, crazy like sci-fi horror stuff.
I can't wait till we do one where he's the lead.
We need to.
I'm going to dig
actually,
into
you know what? I gotta come up with an excuse to talk about Darkman or something.
Hey, maybe we need to do a Liam Neeson month.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be one of my movies because like you've come up with your own segment. I've been throwing around the idea of doing one about movies that I loved as a kid that I haven't watched in like forever, and then I watch them again because Darkman definitely falls into that category. I don't think I've watched Darkman since the 90s, and so I'm pretty sure I still have a kind of like a overblown opinion of how good it is. I mean, it'll be pretty good. I haven't seen anybody really call it out for being shitty, so I have a feeling the general consensus is that it holds up, but who knows,
Ooh, all right. That's a teaser for possibly coming soon to you. Excellent. All right, let's head into our next movie. Okay, this movie has the best title of a movie that I can think of in recent years. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is the very chaotic big screen evolution of Nirvana, the band, the show, created by Canadian filmmakers and comedians Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll, who've been playing heightened delusional versions of themselves for basically 20 years. It's crazy. So what began as this scrappy, no-budget web series then became a cult Viceland show, which was built on guerrilla filmmaking and pranks. And they ended up using really similar techniques for the movie.
Cool.
So they shot in public, often without permits. They blended scripted absurdity with documentary-style chaos and lots of unsuspecting bystanders. And this time for the movie, when their latest plan to book a show at Toronto's legendary Rivoli Bar goes wrong, Matt and Jay accidentally time travel back to 2008, forcing them to confront their past selves while still being completely obsessed with trying to land this gig that they've been looking to get for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Crazy. So this movie was one where the trailers really hooked us.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's so kinetic and fun, this trailer. It's really scrappy. Oh, you've got these two delusional guys. And it's just, the trailer made it look really chaotic and fun. Okay, I do have a personal disclosure, which is when we got to the theater, I was a little turned off by some people in the crowd.
Oh man, don't you're not a fun people who listen.
No, but what I want to say is nothing against them personally, but we were watching the movie, and in one part, Sush leaned over to me and whispered a question about something that was happening in the movie. I whispered back, and the guys sitting next to us were like, "Come on!"
Yeah, immediately jumped on.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I get it. You know, you don't want a lot of distractions in the theater.
Yeah, I get it too.
But the way it felt to me was, first of all, it was aggressive, you know?
Yeah, it was aggressive.
And it's aggressive from someone you're sitting directly next to for another hour.
Who you don't know, yeah.
And I did just get the vibe that it was like, they're so obsessed with the show.
And
they
think they
couldn't-
have like agency.
Yeah.
or
And
that
so
stuff.
there's something about, so basically I went into watching the movie and I was just not into it at the beginning.
You're trying to warn people of the potential audience
No,
issues they might run into.
no, actually, that's not what I mean. What I mean is take into consideration that I have a personal reason for not being into it in the beginning. of the movie.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I was going to say that I thought it was more, and this is what I actually thought myself, that this is one of those movies that's kind of niche,
Mhm.
but this is a thing where there's definitely a very passionate fan base.
Yeah.
So this may be one of those movies. I actually do
Yeah.
think you were kind of onto something, that there is a particular kind of fan base, not just for this movie or this IP,
Mhm.
but for other shows or movies that are based on shows like this or other properties that maybe have had a long time in a more independent
Yeah. They like love it and it feels
offering.
personal to them. kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
thing.
That was a little bit less accessible. And now all of a sudden, like,
Yeah.
you know, this thing that they love. It's like one of those things where if you really love something that people aren't really into and then it becomes popular,
Mhm.
then you might feel a certain way about it.
Yeah. And I think also, I guess the reason, well, first of all, I wanted to share that just because I'm not fully objective here.
Okay.
The other thing is that I did feel like, oh, there's people who really know what's happening in this world in this movie already going into
okay.
it. And I felt lost at the beginning.
Gotcha.
I felt like, oh, maybe I should have watched the web series first.
No, I kind of agree with you on that because I didn't know what was going on either until maybe about like a third of the way in.
I know.
Or like I didn't know how to feel or react to things. I guess.
Yeah, I kind of didn't either. And some of the people in the theater were laughing a lot, and I laugh a lot too, but the things weren't quite hitting me. And I think it's because it took me a little while to sink into the world that we were in.
I think the other part of it too was our audience. Like it wasn't necessarily full of fans of this specifically, because you could tell by the way the reactions were. There were points where I think maybe half of the audience like reacted similarly to something, but then it was a little bit more mixed among the other people. So I don't think like our audience anyway was completely comprised of people who are big Nirvana the band fans from the TV show or like the web series, but maybe half of them are, and then like the other don't really know anything about them like we didn't.
Yeah, and I think that some people may want to watch something before they see it, but I would say the thing to know is that it starts pretty cold. Like you're in their house, it's chaotic, and Jay's playing the piano. Matt runs downstairs and is like, I got an idea. And, he's very intense and he has a very stupid idea. And he writes it on a whiteboard and there's no music underneath or anything. So it doesn't feel like a movie at first, or it feels like a very low budget movie.
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, you realize that in the story of the movie, and I think the show, they're being filmed by a documentary crew. So they do know they're being filmed. So right. Like, okay. And the people filming them become characters as well. So once you know that, you're like, okay, it makes sense that it's really low budget because what we're essentially seeing is this low budget documentary.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And they go and do this one first insane idea. And I have to say, if you could think of, I'm going to say 20 different ways to get a show. I'm going to say 50 different ways. If someone put a gun to your head and said, tell me 50 ways that I can get a show at a local bar.
It's not, I don't think it's just a local bar though, right?
You're right.
Isn't it supposed to be like the biggest venue in their
I think it's a big in Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but still, you would never, ever come close to what they do.
Yeah, probably not.
And what they think is extreme, like exponentially.
As somebody who used to be a working musician, I would never think of doing anything that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I was getting paid something stupid.
I mean, it's another world. You have to think it's another, it's not a world we live in. But it's funny. So they come up with this crazy idea. And at first you're like, what the hell is going on? And then they really set about going about what would be involved in doing this crazy idea. And in the course of doing that, they have this great scene with a guy at a hardware store. And they tell him what they're going to do. And he's like, oh, man, I can't sign off on that. And they're like, but could we use this tool for this? And he's like, I mean, you could, but don't do it,
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool because you see it's grounded in reality, like what you're seeing,
right.
You're literally interacting with real people. But what they're doing is something so absolutely insane. And that sets you up really well for what becomes, as is in the trailer, it's a time travel movie. And that to me is when, I mean, of course, that's when I started loving it. Time travel is amazing. But it was fun because the character dynamics between these two guys who've known each other for decades change really quickly. And they get separated. They have different things going on and things just you would never ever guess.
They get enough money.
Yeah. And it's also fun because there's some commentary on how far culture has come since 2008.
Yeah.
There's some really funny jokes about like, wow, you could say that,
Yeah.
And it is really impressive how they shot because in addition to the time travel and the crazy story, they use footage of themselves from 2008, like real footage from the show.
Oh, yeah.
And they intercut it with footage of them in the present day or their current age.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I thought was so clever is obviously a web series in 2008 looks very different than a feature film in 2026. So they go back in time, they just say to the filmmakers, oh, your cameras look too advanced. They'll know we're from the future.
Yeah.
You're going to have to use these old cameras.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah. And so
good
by
parlay
doing
on
that, then they have to film the current guys to look like the old footage. And, they really pull things together in a beautiful way. I think for me, it was a little hard for me to get over how annoying Matt was.
No, I agree.
He's really like, hey, I went to theater school.
What people
I
would
know
call
wacky people.
an acquired taste.
Yeah, I know some out there people, but yeah, he's kind of a lot. And I just I liked it a lot.
He reminds you of some people you know.
Yeah, possibly. I don't even know if it fell short for me in any way. I think just some of it wasn't exactly to my taste,
Makes sense.
And the construction of it is so interesting and so cool. And it's an impressive feat, technically. Yeah. But I don't know if that's enough for me to like it exponentially more.
No, I think it's definitely one of those movies where I think it just reiterated for us, or at least for me, that while we like some weird movies, we are not super niche indie people.
Maybe.
Like we see stuff that we like based on usually trailers or something pretty accessible to people. And that's what we use as our basis for deciding whether or not we want to see something. So also some insight for the listeners.
Yeah.
To like how we choose these things.
I think
like we didn't choose this because we're fans of Nirvana, the band, the show. We chose it because the trailer looked hilarious.
Yeah.
And like something different.
And I imagine it's like anything. Someone who has that knowledge of the show, this is going to be a lot funnier to them too. And it was funny for me too. I enjoyed it. There's maybe like 2 or 3 big shocking laughs.
Yeah.
The rest of them to me were a little bit more chuckle and a smile, But I still think it was really well done. I don't know. What do you think, Sush?
Well, I had, and I pretty much still only have minimal awareness of Nirvana, the band. I have since, seeing the movie, looked up some stuff about them. But I figured I probably would enjoy this since I'm usually pretty on board with sketch comedy and mockumentary stuff. And for the most part, I think I was right. In the end, I don't feel like the lack of context regarding Nirvana, the band, nor being a fan of this genre ultimately impacted my final assessment of the movie. So I just want to put that out there. With that said, I like what I found out about Nirvana, the band.
Yeah.
Since it's almost like making a show out of the silliness that's happened within my own friend groups throughout life. And now, like, with Ashley as my partner, which just involves a lot of dumb jokes and references to pop culture, including coming up with a lot of impromptu songs about things and situations we encounter.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So I ended up kind of appreciating how Nirvana, the band, weirdly is what I think the adult version of giving an independent film budget to some kids who imagine some fun or stupid ideas hanging out in the playground would be. They literally will recreate scenes from movies, TV shows, and video games that they know. That's how kids work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, speaking of the budget too, after seeing this, I really need to know how much money they spent on it.
Ooh.
Yo, this shit was made for $2 million.
Ooh.
I mean, it felt low budget, but that shit did not feel like it cost only $2 million.
No, it didn't at all.
I mean, just to illustrate a point, Jackass the movie was estimated to cost around $5 million around the time it was made. But this movie clearly had some stunts in it that I would at least assume would cost a lot of money to make happen. Yeah. But then again, maybe Canada is more chill about filming stuff like this. I don't know.
Well, they basically run and gun in it. Actually, something I forgot to tell you is there's one scene, I won't disclose what happens, but there's a scene where they're in front of a mansion.
Yes,
And
I
then-
did read about that.
Yeah, and then something happens, and then they show news footage related.
I think I have a better example that we can talk about more freely.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just finish the
Okay.
thought on this, which is what they did is they shot Drake's house.
Oh, right.
And then the footage that they showed was related to a news story that had to do with Drake's house. It was like real news footage.
Oh, yeah.
There's a real level of creativity and just like their ability to collage together this thing that I think is impressive.
I know that one of the other things that I read about like how they got away with some of the stunts was that one of the big ones they did while Taylor Swift was doing an Eras tour stop
Oh my God.
in their town. So they're like, yeah, the police are going to be too busy like dealing with Taylor Swift stuff. Anything we do is not even going to be a flash in the pan during this time. Nobody's going to notice it. Nobody's going to care.
That's amazing. Yeah, really creative.
Yeah, but anyway, this movie's funny, but I don't think it's too outlandish to say that this movie definitely isn't for everyone. I know we got into that a little bit, especially people who are just interested in seeing big budget studio or art house films, because this is neither.
Yeah, true.
In the most complimentary way, I think that this movie is for serious entertainment and pop culture geeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about people who grew up as like theater, film, or music nerds because they participated in that stuff. I'm talking about the people who actually consumed all of it and remember the mundane details.
Yeah.
I won't provide additional context so I don't spoil anything, but fuck, Orbits. You know?
Orbits!
That weird drink from the late 90s with the jelly beads in it.
Canadian, you know.
It's a significant part of the plot.
It is. I thought it was just in the poster and it made me crave Orbits. And then it's
in there. Yeah. I'd say there are two main parts. The movie is kind of like split into, as someone who hasn't actually watched any of the Nirvana, the band web series and their TV series, I don't know how accurate the statement is, but based on the fairly large audience we saw it with, I feel like existing fans of Nirvana, the band, will probably appreciate like the first part of the movie more than I did.
Yeah.
But for general film, TV, movie geeks or fans, I think the other part is where the movie really stands out as a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a funny independent movie for fans of mockumentary films. Like if you like Borat, this would be a good one for you. But definitely it's more sweet and good natured.
It is.
Probably given that this isn't really trying to make any statements about society and it's made by Canadians. I thought it was surprisingly funny, even for someone without context, but only because I personally saw a lot of parallels between my own friends and our interests over the years. And like these guys might be too obscure or interesting to people who typically only see big studio films. But if you're a general fan of sketch comedy or mockumentary, or, you know, you're a film, TV, or music nerd with friends that shares the same interests, check this out, man. If you're a friend of Nirvana, the band already, I probably don't need to encourage you to go see it. So, for my rating, I give this a 3 for enjoyment and a 4 for quality.
Me too.
Yeah, I think the most enjoyable aspects of the movie were the pop culture and movie references, given that I didn't really know much about Nirvana, the band. While I don't think this movie has done a lot to drive me to watch Nirvana, the band's older work as much as other movies I've seen where I've had no context of the source material have maybe driven me to do so afterwards. I do feel like I appreciate the types of antics and humor I saw in the movie when I experienced them in my real life. So that really contributed to my overall enjoyment. Also, do I need to remind you that this shit was made for $2 million?
And over 20 years almost.
Yeah. Like I initially had the quality rated lower before I knew anything about the making of this movie. But I couldn't, in good conscience, rate this movie lower than a 4 after I started researching the budget and then like how it was made, given that it was pretty polished when it wanted to be.
Yeah.
Even though the time travel elements were pretty simplistic, they were believable to a point, you know? Like, we're even able to see
Back to the Future.
Yeah, like we're even able to see this by looking at scenes in the trailer, like where we see T. McCarroll on billboards in Times Square and him being substituted in for Chris Rock at the Oscars. So
Yes, I forgot about
like that type of stuff looked good. Like for something that I know clearly is not real. Like I put myself in the position, okay, what if I didn't have any context of what this was? Could I believe that this was somebody else in the place of the person I know it is? And yeah, I think a lot of the times they did a good enough job cutting it to where it looked good. So
absolutely. Well, we are twinsies in ratings. I gave it a 3 for enjoyment. Again, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I just feel like it wasn't 100% my style, you know, but quality, man, it's really impressive what they did. And this is not to knock the movie. This is to talk about how impressive and cool and creative and their filmmaking is. I almost am more interested in reading about how they made the movie than seeing the movie. Because
it was interesting finding
it's
out.
that fascinating to me. It really is. And I am excited to see what else they do. I think that they've worked on other types of projects as well. But yeah, really, really impressive. And I cannot imagine how good a night of sleep they had once they finished making this. Because considering that it's something that was like 15 years in the making and had all these random pieces that they put together, like that's amazing. So cool. All right. Next up, we got quote, Wuthering Heights, unquote. The 2026 reimagining or interpretation, I think the director might have said, of the classic novel by Emily Bronte. And it's written and directed by Emerald Fennell of Saltburn fame.
Oh, yeah.
And stars Margot. Yes, Bathwater, which I haven't seen. And it stars Margot Robbie as Catherine and Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff. Produced on a larger studio scale than many previous adaptations. The film really leans into Fennell's style of heightened, stylized sensibility. It blends gothic romance with psychological intensity and kind of more modern emotional frankness, probably, I would say. And like the novel, it centers on the obsessive and destructive love between Catherine and the outsider Heathcliff on the Yorkshire moors. But this version foregrounds the erotic tension. I think you'll know just from hearing about Saltburn. Erotic tension, this is this lady's strong suit here. Yeah. And the power dynamics are more explicitly explored than in earlier, more restrained period versions. So it basically, instead of emphasizing sweeping romance or the multi-generational saga of the book, this one is more focused on the volatile central relationship and darker psychological stuff. Yeah, this one's very hyped up. And it's been interesting because it seems like now I'm just from scrolling through TikTok, not even watching a full videos about this. I know that the two leads in interviews, people thought they were trying to imply they're in a relationship, even though they're not. And like, there's all this stuff really trying to play up the scandalousness of it. But that kind of wasn't the most exciting thing about it for me. For me, it was the way it looks. Like,
yeah, for sure.
This movie is gorgeous, beautiful. Like the cinematography is fantastic. Oh my God, the wigs, they were, the costumes were, I would flip through over and over again, just images of the outfits that Margot Robbie wears. They're so beautiful. And then they also get into sort of the grime and the dirt and, oh my God, there's a really bad set of teeth in this. So it's really just intense, visceral visuals. So that was honestly my favorite part. As for the characters, Kathy's awful. She's self-centered. She's obsessed with status. She's not very empathetic. And I understand why she's that way. She was raised without a mother, neglected by her father. And then there's also class insecurity. There just is a lot going on there. But it doesn't make her someone I want to root for, even though I can see the reasons why she is the way she is. And the romance, I mean, I don't know. I just kept thinking about the class dynamics, which I couldn't tell if that was what the movie wanted me to focus on or not, but it's what I find more interesting. She literally names Heathcliff. She's like, he can't speak, so I'm just naming him Heathcliff after my dead brother. So it's like she names him, and then her dad's like, he's your plaything. And he basically, is her entertainment, someone she kind of controls. And he's grateful to be relatively safe and have a friend and all of that. But yeah, there's something where it just didn't feel romantic to me. And I was more engaged with the class patriarchal themes. I think I could say this about almost any movie. The real villain is patriarchy. There's so much of a society that they're dealing with. But I don't know. That stuff, honestly, none of what was happening mattered to me as much as how beautiful it was. And the sexuality was definitely a little shocking, I think, was the intent. But I think it worked well within the characters. I think the actors had really good chemistry. Thought it was shot beautifully. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Sush?
Well, I read this book actually back in high school. Shout out Mr. Dinas at Maine South for teaching my accelerated English class junior year. But anyway, while I was aware ahead of time from interviews that the writer-director Emerald Fennell at least hinted at her movie not being a completely faithful adaptation of the novel, I wasn't absolutely sure what was adjusted and to what degree. However, what was clear pretty early on was that it was being marketed as a heavily stylized period romance film.
Yeah.
Side note, I absolutely do not think that Wuthering Heights is, quote, the greatest love story of all time.
God, no.
And if you've read the book, I'm pretty sure you also agree that's kind of a wild-ass claim to make.
Yeah.
It's been admittedly over half a lifetime now since I read the book. But I guess what I do remember is that our school discussions dealt more heavily with the class conflict angle.
Yeah.
We did, of course, discuss how it affected different relationships, including the one between Heathcliff and Catherine, obviously. The one aspect I recall being heavier in the book than it was in the movie, at least in my opinion, was regarding revenge. I think this movie hints at the potential of it being a motivation for different characters at different times in the movie, but it's definitely not as central as I felt like it was in the book. I didn't realize that Fennell was writer-director for Saltburn until after I saw this movie, as well as director for Promising Young Woman and writer for Ballerina.
Oh, yeah, Ballerina.
Yeah, but given how Gen Z targeted this movie felt to me, it kind of made sense this came from the same person. I definitely feel like there's like this edgy passion to her work. So I could understand how fans of her previous work would enjoy this too. Even with my criticism of this movie as an adaptation of Wuthering Heights, I will say I kind of enjoyed it in a very superficial way.
Yeah.
The movie was just beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, the sets, the costumes, cinematography, the drama, and even our lead actors in general. It was definitely a strong offering for Valentine's Day weekend, so I give it props for all that stuff. I think the biggest reason why I probably didn't enjoy it is that I think this isn't targeted at my demographic, which would probably be more millennial or Gen X. Because while Margot Robbie falls into like the millennial category, I think she has a lot of Gen Z fans, and I think that both the decision to cast Jacob Elordi as the male lead and have Charlie XCX do an entire album attached to this movie was clearly to show that it was pointing at them as a target. So basically, I realized most of my complaints were old people stuff. Like that these characters are horrible in general and to each other. And none of these horrible people are engaged in healthy relationships for the most part. Sure, that might be true, but I also realize this is about the drama and that young people are oftentimes attracted to people who are just exciting but horrible to them. That's just life, right? Younger people got time to work on that stuff.
Oh my God.
Also, I'm adding this. my list of movies that either aren't like the source material or the film adaptation that was released before it. In this case, the former. But I put this on a list of movies like the 2010 Karate Kid movie with Jaden Smith,
yeah.
where I wouldn't necessarily call the new version bad, but without a doubt, I'd call it different.
Yeah.
I think this movie shared a lot of similarities with another visually striking tragic romance movie that we reviewed recently.
Oh, yes.
Dracula,
I was
aka
thinking that
Dracula, A Love Tale.
too.
I initially wanted to say that Dracula was a lot darker, but after thinking about it, to be completely honest, both stories were pretty dark.
Yeah.
Sure, there's obviously horror elements present in Dracula that aren't in this movie, but I honestly have to say, like, these movies were probably equally tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with Dracula, I thought my favorite aspect of the movie was the visual aspect,
Right.
especially the set design. Like, I don't think there's a spoiler because it's in the trailer and the director talks about it in an interview, but the walls of Catherine's room in this movie being like a copy of her skin was both beautiful and creepy.
Yeah.
So yeah, while there's no actual horror elements, there's definitely some creepy stuff in it. Probably that and Catherine's dad's teeth later in the movie.
Boy.
But comparatively, as far as visuals go, I felt like this movie was probably a little bit better for the set design and acting. But Dracula was probably better for the choreography and costume. But the overall quality, I think like this one was just going to be higher.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like it had a bigger budget. Even if I felt like the sets were smaller.
Yeah.
In a way. But they did a good job utilizing the small amount of space.
Yeah.
So going on to my ratings, I gave this a 3 for enjoyment and a 3.5 for quality. Overall, I enjoyed this film more as a visual experience than as an adaptation of Wuthering Heights. I think it's a totally watchable, like, romance drama film. But as I mentioned earlier, it probably caters to more of a Gen Z audience and might not be as appealing to older viewers and those like closer to the source material. If you do decide to see this movie, I definitely recommend seeing it in a premium format.
Yes. If you
care about visuals, we saw it in IMAX. We thought it looked great. But if you care more about sound, we know that it's also being offered in Dolby. So,
although their seats are so uncomfortable.
Yes, they are.
Cool. Well, for my ratings here for enjoyment, I gave it a 2.5. And the more I think about it, I'm a little bit struggling to come up with a definitive reason why I didn't like it more. But it just didn't hook me. I understand. It had a lot going on with the sexual tension, with the relationship with her dad, etc. And I don't know the book, okay? So I apologize if I'm being dumb about the story because I don't know the book. But I just would have liked it to be more, I'm just more interested in the class dynamics.
Yeah, the book dealt with that more. And
than the romance.
Yeah, and how it affected these two families, basically, that were intertwined with each other for a few generations.
So it might be I would prefer Wuthering Heights as opposed to quote Wuthering Heights, unquote, which is what the director said she did to indicate that it's not a direct adaptation. And for quality, I gave it a 4. I think that the strength of the vision, just the technical filmmaking that went into this and the performances make it so I would find it impossible to go below a 3.5. But also the things that I enjoyed the most that really made me stay engaged and be impressed and shocked and grossed out and all of that. That's the visuals, that's the technical filmmaking. So yeah, so we had 3 very different movies today. That's for sure. All right, heading on to TV. Zeus, what do we got going on with Hijack?
Sam. So like, we all saw that shit blew up in the last episode. So yeah, season 2, episode 6, Junction. The episode opens with the train vanishing from Control's map due to a power surge. which prompts Ada and Murnau to send first responders, fearing an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey Brown's convoy is ordered back to the safe house, but Lang, the agent we saw Faye recall earlier in the season to get a photo of Bailey Brown for Sam, suspects the safe house is compromised and takes precautions. In London, Daniel and Zara update Stuart about the train hijacking and explosion. Stuart's angry reaction hints at deeper involvement or concern about Bailey Brown and the hijacking.
Mm-hmm.
On the train, Sam regains consciousness after the explosion, finding all the passengers have survived. Otto reassures passengers that the explosion was likely a warning and urges them to stay calm. As he reminds them, bombs remain under each of the remaining cars. Sam and Otto press Jess for information. Jess's contact is revealed to be Lang, who threatens to arm all the bombs unless the convoy is turned around. Sam negotiates for time to resolve the situation, with Lang offering him only 5 minutes to fix the situation.
So nuts.
But Lang does reassure him of Marcia's safety as long as the demands are met. Otto's able to restart the train after the explosion. Luckily, Sam expresses relief, hoping the ordeal will end soon. Otto reminds Sam of Freddy's death, prompting Jess to explain that Freddy was killed to prevent the other train passengers and Marcia from being killed. Okay. Sam realizes the situation they're in is what he calls a closed loop, which leaves no trace of the masterminds and just Sam as the primary suspect for the hijacking. Sam tries to calm the passengers and delivers a heartfelt speech, promising survival. However, this is immediately followed up with a scene at control, with Murnau preparing for GSG-9 to intervene during the handover, despite Ada's concerns.
Good.
It's confirmed Petra survived the explosion, the old lady, though she's exhausted. However, later on in the episode, we see Maytan rush to Otto, seeking medical help for Petra, only to end up finding out that she's passed away, adding to the emotional toll. Sam sets conditions with Ada for releasing passengers wary of police presence and demanding Bailey Brown come alone to the platform. Sam discovers that Control has been unable to determine the location of the train since the explosion, which gives him a chance to come up with a plan to avoid the trap. Everything kind of comes to a head as Sam and Jess rush to manually switch the track so they can avoid this trap, while GSG-9 prepares to intervene, forcing Sam to use Jess as a human shield. This prompts Ada to finally authorize GSG-9 to take a shot at Sam, the episode ending with the shot being taken as the train pulls up behind Sam and Jess, and the screen immediately cuts to black. Now, other than that, we do get a few updates of our side plots going on. Marcia is dealing with her neighbors. We know in the last episode that the neighbors faked an injury so they could get into her cabin. So in this episode, we see that she's helping them out, but she happens to be able to escape from her suspicious neighbors by distracting them, basically testing them and realizing that, in fact, they weren't locals.
Right.
And then fleeing into the forest. Also, Detective Beck is continuing with his investigation. He speaks to a woman named Agatha Roback, who has a connection to Marco, the guy who switched the track at the beginning of the season for Otto. We find out that she's pregnant and likely is carrying Marco's child. So Beck is able to convince her to give him Marco's real name, which ends up being Joseph Kaminsky. So then he goes ahead and he takes that information and starts tracking flights leaving Berlin to try to intercept him. And then kind of the last thing that's happening separately from the main plot, Olivia and Graham review the classified evidence that Sam sent to her regarding Bailey Brown. But they come to the realization that they need Sam's laptop in order to decipher some of the information.
Mhm.
So establish that in a separate meeting. With that said, Ashley, what do you think of the episode?
Oh my God, so much happened.
For sure.
Like you reading through the description, I was like, oh my God, I forgot this. I forgot that. I forgot. And like, I thought I had my notes down, but man, there's that main plot line, which is very dramatic, where on the train, you've got a death. Then you've got them going to meet up with Bailey Brown. Then you've got Otto having to help out at the drive. There's so much happening. And then on top of that, you get some really just good detective work and moving the plot along stuff. Then you get the drama of Marcia, having to fend off these I think they called them intruder in the captions. So it was just a lot. As always, Otto is my favorite. I love Otto. My favorite. There were two parts. Well, he's become my favorite.
Okay.
There are two parts that I loved. One was after the whole craziness at the beginning, and they're not sure if they're going to be able to get the train to move. I love that when Otto gets the train moving, he gets so excited and he's this piece of shit still works.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. Then you've got Otto being stressed out on the train with that junkie guy nagging him.
Anders,
God, I hate that guy. And Otto's just like, I'm doing the same as you. I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah, that was good.
And then Otto brought up Freddie. So while Freddie's killer, is in the cabin with him.
Yeah, he's not going to let it go. That was cool.
Yeah. So Sam says something like, hopefully no one has to die. Otto's like, except for Freddie. And then he just asks her, he's like, why did Freddie have to die? And she said, Freddie
fucked up.
Yeah. She said, you guys fucked up. He was trying to call the control center. If they did, the bad guys, whatever, would blow up the train.
She's not wrong, but that was kind of harsh.
It was really harsh. So yeah,
I just think Otto wanted to know because Freddie ended up being kind of a nice dude.
Yeah,
the three of them, him, Freddie, and Sam were kind of having some good repertoire for the moment. Before everything went fucking haywire again. So yeah,
I know. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was so funny that when the mother of the child who was taken off the train gets there with the thumb drive, they see the footage of the woman on the train killing Freddie, and they go, "Oh, it's his accomplice." It's like, how is he the accomplice if he's the one who purposely gave you that footage, dummy? You know?
I don't know.
But I was overwhelmed with riches of plot and drama here. That's what I would say. Yeah. What do you think of the episode, Sush?
Well, I thought that the last episode felt short, but this one did too. And I honestly don't know which one was shorter, but I haven't really bothered to look it up either. Regardless, it's not necessarily a bad thing, though I do wonder how complex the situation could be with this whole hijacking, assuming that this needs to get wrapped up within the season.
Right.
I almost feel like they're going to do one of those things where they resolve the biggest concern, which I'd say is making sure the train passengers stay alive right at the end of the finale, but immediately then have Sam pivot into something else, like dealing with the whole situation with Marcia, who he's going to maybe have to rush and save in maybe third season. But can these writers really come up with a reason and way for Sam to be involved in a third hijack?
Yeah.
I gotta admit,
it's got to be automobiles next, because we got planes and trains.
Yeah, even if I could look past the absurdity of him being involved in a second hijacking, I don't know if I could deal with that. Man, it really seemed like nobody except for Freddie was going to die directly due to an incident that happened during this hijacking. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case since Petra actually dies in this episode after we get a fake out for her death in the previous episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious how Sam was able to convince basically the entire train that everything's going to be okay. Maybe he was right in Hobbs and Shaw. Maybe he is Black Superman. I mean, it's just too bad that that speech was so poorly timed because like GSG 9 basically was given the okay to intervene like at the same damn time. Yeah, like you were saying, I really hate honors.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Otto finally stood up to the passengers being aggressive towards him and that Anders happened to be the one on the receiving end. Over these past 2 episodes, I swear, motherfucker has been out there acting all righteous like he wasn't found out the episode just before those 2 trying to stash a bag full of drugs.
Oy.
R.I.P. Petra. I hope her husband gets to kill Lang for his part in their injury and eventual death. What else? Oh, yeah. I'm continuing to really enjoy that aside from the main plot involving Sam's train hijacking and the response and everything coming from Control. We also get these side plots with Beck and Daniel's investigations, which will hopefully fill in the events leading up to the hijacking. And also Marcia, which continues to remind the viewers of like what's on the line for Sam, even though apparently the people sent to keep an eye on her don't seem to be very competent. Like all that's been pleasurable. One thing that I had to look up because I honestly feel like the show is written so unusually well that a viewer can honestly forget how absurd the premise of one man dealing with multiple hijackings really is who the writers for the show have been. What I found that was interesting is that it seems like they have several writers that rotate duties throughout the season.
Oh, okay.
But in the first season, they had one writer that worked on the majority of episodes. This one, it felt like the showrunners realized that delivering a successful second season for a show like this would require a wider pool of writing talent to keep viewers focused and keep them from like falling back on the belief that the idea of putting Sam in the middle of another hijacking is just so stupid that it's not worth watching.
Yeah, you got to distract us from how stupid the premise is.
Yeah, I really do think that the writing's like good enough that like I forget about that all the time. But yeah, overall, still enjoying the show. Like the writing and the acting has definitely held my interest. But I think I've started to note minor criticisms of the show. Especially now that we're deep into the second half and we're approaching the end of the season. One thing I've been kind of laughing at is how often timing plays a part in things going wrong. Like the further into the season we get, the more it seems like unfortunate incidents happen to temporarily delay some progress with the train making it to the handover, which ends up resulting in some ordeal that Sam, the passengers, or some other primary character or party have to deal with. Ashley, I know you mentioned how much this show leans on ending episodes with cliffhangers.
Oh my God.
Which I totally agree with. Like, especially how aggressively the shot was ended for the cliffhangers in this and the last episode.
Very dramatic.
It's like, damn, we know there's still 2 more episodes. So I highly doubt you guys are going to blow this train up before at least the end of the penultimate episode. But whatever, guys.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this ends, and I hope that someone fucks Lang up, even if he isn't actually the one of the masterminds, because the dude, like, he just loves dangling shit over people.
Yeah,
like, whether it's a
dude.
payout for Jess or Marsha's life for Sam, like, even if he is not one of the masterminds behind this, I want him to get his ass kicked.
That would be fantastic. I love when that happens. You know? Excellent. Well, can't wait for next week.
Actually, what the hell are we seeing this coming week?
Well, Sushi, this week we're seeing the movies How to Make a Killing, the new Glenn Powell movie. And then we're going to be watching the Japanese movie Kokuho. And then we'll be checking out the revenge time travel movie Redux Redux. And for TV, you know it, baby. We're going to be watching that Hijack.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We really, really, really appreciate you. And thanks for hanging out with us, weirdos.
Yeah. And remember to subscribe, rate, and review, preferably positively. And also follow us on the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We also have a new Discord server.
yeah.
We definitely invite you guys to join so you can, have discussions with us and maybe tell us what you want to hear us talk about
Yes, that would
in
be
the
so cool.
upcoming episodes. But other than that, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you. We'll see
Yeah.
you next week.
For sure. Take it easy.
Bye.
Laughter in the air, friendships touch. Movies and delights will share so much.
Let's enjoy this side.